Okay, so thank you again for joining me here at the Paul Wisdom Project. Thank you for watching my first video about my uh, how I've how I've come up in the industry. Now, this video is about the life of a chef, what the life of a chef actually looks like. I know some of you are wondering, what does a chef do every day? What does being a chef actually look like? Okay, here it is. Here it is. Okay, so generally being a chef, it's not like any it's not that different from any other business, but it is quite different, and there's a lot that goes into being a chef, especially if you want to be a really good chef. There's a lot that goes into it. So I'm gonna go into some of the things that go into the everyday life of a chef. So typically, the first part of being a chef is, of course, knowing how to cook good food. But you have to also know your knowledge and your theory. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is that the life of a chef, it generally starts early in the morning. Now, we usually most chefs, most of us get up very, very early. Like I'm talking, if you're working breakfast, you're generally getting up at 5 in the morning to get in the kitchen to set up and start making different breakfast dishes for whomever your clientele is. Okay, so that's the first thing: getting up really early, getting in the kitchen, and then once you get in the kitchen, you're setting up. And when I mean setting up, I'm talking about, getting on the line, looking at what you have on the line, because every day is gonna be different. That's the thing about a chef. Every day is a totally different day. You can't go into a kitchen and have, a good day today and a good day tomorrow. It just doesn't work that way. In most kitchens, um, especially most big kitchens, modern day kitchens today, you're gonna have days where it's gonna be amazing, and then you're gonna have days where you just want to quit the industry. Now, like I mentioned in my previous video, remember too, if you don't have a passion for being a chef, then you will not move forward into the industry. That's just I can't stress this enough, guys. If you don't have a passion for being a chef, don't bother coming into the industry, because you'll find out very quickly that you will burn out fast and you won't want to come into it. Okay, back to what I was trying to say. So, uh, when we talk about a typical day, yes, you're going into the kitchen, you're checking over what happened the day before. So you're checking out the line, you're checking in your fridge to see what you have, and you're setting up the kitchen. So setting up, you're turning on the dishwasher. Once after you turn on the dishwasher, you're going on the line and you're turning on all the equipment. And when we talk equipment, we're talking about, you're turning on the grill, making sure it's heated and it's nice and hot. You're turning on the flat top if the kitchen has one, and you're getting it nice and hot. The fryers, you're turning them all up to the proper temps, 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And then your oven, you're also getting that turned up to at least 350, 375. And then after that, you're ensuring that your burners are well insulated, making sure that when you turn the switch, it actually turns on. I can't tell you how many times I've worked in kitchens and I've tried to turn the burner on and I found out things not turning on. So yeah, yeah, you're checking you're making sure your burners can turn on, and you're ensuring that you're checking your line in your fridge to see what exactly you have. Um, Now, after you're finished doing that, you checked out what you got. You make yourself a list, and after you make yourself a list, what that list is supposed to have on it is what you have and what you actually need. So you're splitting it pretty much what you have currently, and then what you need to do. So if you see that, for example, I'm just giving another example here. If you see, for example, that you have currently only a liter container of diced tomatoes, for example, then and 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 this is something that you have to know in your kitchen, because every kitchen works differently, and the amount of sales that you did the day before is gonna be totally different from another kitchen. So if you know for so I'm just giving an example here. If you know that you need at least 3 liters of diced tomatoes to get you through, then you need to make sure that you put on that list that time if you have 1 liter, then you have to put times two. So that's typically what it does. And then typically when it comes down to the day beginning, depending on where you're working, depending on who the chef is, you generally want to let your chef know what you currently have. And after you let he or she know what you currently have, then they can decide what else you need to what else you need to do. Now, when it comes down to it, the most important thing is being ready for your services. Whether you're doing buffet service, whether you're doing line service, whether you're doing events, the best thing you wanna do is be prepared for those. I can't tell you how many times I've worked in kitchens and it's just they just weren't prepared for service, and we got through, mind you, we got through. We had to do what we had to do, but it could have gone a lot better had we been prepared up until that point. Okay, so the biggest thing you want to do is make sure that you're ready. Make sure that you have everything. Make sure that you prioritize and make sure that the things that take the longest to do. So, for example, if you take for example making burgers and dicing tomatoes, which one do you think takes the longest to do? Making burgers. That thing takes the longest to do. So what you want to do is you want to start on that first, and then after you start on that, then the other things you can focus on later. Especially if you're doing an event of 200 people, you want to get those burgers, started and made and ready to go. The diced meals can wait because those only take a couple moments. Okay. So that's another thing you want to keep in mind with the kitchen is that you want to set yourself up for success and you want to be prepared. After which, so typically speaking, breakfast generally starts at 6, 7 in the morning, and that's why I was saying previously that generally speaking, we're getting up at 5 to get in the kitchen, and we need to make sure that we're getting ready for service. And so you get ready for service. Breakfast generally kicks off at 6, 7 in the morning, and then once it kicks off, after breakfast is done, it generally goes from about 6 or 7 till about 11 o'clock, and then once it goes till 11 o'clock, then after that is lunch service, and then once lunch service is over, then same thing. So you do your breakfast service, and then after breakfast, then you prep and you get ready for lunch if you're not already prepped and ahead and ready for lunch. And then after lunch service is over, then the next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you're ready for dinner. Now, depending on the kitchen, again, this really does depend on what kitchen you're working in, because not all kitchens run the same, but they all have different ways of executing, and the equipment, the things they use to execute is much different. Okay, so typically, it's really difficult to call. I can't say that lunch is going to be busier than dinner or dinner is going to be busier than lunch, because sometimes you'll have slow lunches, sometimes you'll have busy dinners, sometimes you'll have busy lunches, and then you'll have slow dinners. It's just the nature of the beast. All right, so don't come quoting me and asking me, Paul, I found that both lunch and dinner service were busy. What happened? It's like, I don't know. It's just the nature of the beast, you know? Okay. So that's something that's also important. What you want to make sure of, like I was saying previously, is you want to make sure that you are prepared. Just make sure that you're prepared, okay? Make sure that things are in place. Make sure that everything is set up and ready to go as best as you can, because sometimes mistakes happen, and I won't fault you can't fault anyone for that. Mistakes do happen. People miss things, we miscount stuff, and that's just how it goes. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're mostly ready to go. That's one thing that's really important that I can't stress. The next thing I want to talk about is yeah. So you've done all your lunch services, you know your dinner services, and then after you're done your dinner service, which is the last service of the day, hopefully, you want to make sure that you give yourself a leg up for the next day, just so that when the next day comes, you're not stranded and you're not like oh my gosh, like what are we gonna do? You want to give yourself a bit of time for the next day. What I mean by that is when dinner service is over, take a look in your kitchen, take a look in your fridges, take a look on your line, take a look um, everywhere. Just take a look at what you got. And if it means that you need to prep yourself for, you need to make an extra liter of diced tomatoes or make some more soup for tomorrow, then that's what it means to get yourself ahead, right? Because that's what we're talking about, right? So keep that in mind as well. The next thing I want to just bring to your attention, when it comes down to it. After dinner service is over, you generally want to check with your chef. You generally want to check with all the people that you work with, your chef, your servers, your bartenders, your front house managers, your general manager. You want to check with all of them, and you want to make sure that all the things that you had to do were completed. You know what I mean? You don't want to set yourself up for failure. Just pack your stuff and leave when you're done, because that's just not a good habit. You don't want to give them the impression that you're not a team player. You know what I mean? Because being a chef and working in a kitchen, you also got to work as a team. You got to be a team player. You got to be open minded to what other people have to bring to the table. Because the thing about being a chef is that you're never finished learning. I don't care if you become a Michelin star chef. I don't care if you become a chef de cuisine. I don't care if you become an executive chef. I don't care if you become one of the best chefs in the world. I don't care. It don't matter. You are never gonna be finished learning when you become a chef. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing because in a way it actually makes it fun. It makes it fun because who doesn't want to learn something new? You know what I mean? Like I won't forget this. I worked in this kitchen um in Toronto, and they were sous videing their oatmeal, their cooked oatmeal, and I was like, what? Sous vide oatmeal? Why would you sous vide oatmeal? And so I found it really interesting. So I say that to say there's always something that you can learn from every kitchen. It's never a dull moment being a chef. It's a fun time. It's a really good time. You'll find as time goes along, even though there's days where you don't really like it. There's days where it's no fun. There's days where you're contemplating, should I be a chef or not? Or there's days where I'm talking about this assuming and thinking that you have a passion for it and you want to do it, because if you don't have a passion for it, remember what I said, then being a chef isn't for you, right? So there's days where everything's gonna feel kind of you're kind of out of it, but that's just the nature of it. That's the nature of every business. Some days you'll like it, some days you won't like it. Okay, so that's something that to keep in mind as well. So yeah, that's more or less a typical day of a chef. That's generally what it looks like. In a nutshell, that's what being a chef looks like. Uh, I'll post another video of the different levels of becoming a chef, because I think that that's worth telling as well. A lot of people, a lot of kitchens and people get confused as to, Paul, what's an executive chef? What does a sous chef do? What's a chef de partie? What's a line cook? What's a chef de cuisine? What are all these things? And yeah, I'll explain it in another video. Okay. But yeah, thank you again for watching this video. Thank you, and I hope that this will give you some inside knowledge as to what being a chef actually looks like every day. Okay, thank you.